Hi, Gay DeRusso with the Majestic rider. Today I'm on Flyboy. The footing is bad because it rained and we didn't get to drag it again, so it's very choppy today, so it's not the best for gaiting. But I'm going to show you what we got. So this is his flat walk. It used to be his running walk, but now each week he gets faster, so he gets better. And in the beginning I had to use the poles to help us really separate his legs because he was really pacey, confused, and wouldn't relax. And now I don't need the poles for the flat walk so much. But it's a good thing he knows how to do them. He's not trippy anymore. If you look back at his beginning videos, he almost fell down with me a couple of times. He hasn't tripped at all in the past, I don't know, 2 to 3 weeks. So he's been doing really well. So for his flat walk, I'm just kind of keeping him in between my hands and my legs. This is not the easiest horse. He's very wiggly. If you have a walking horse, you know what I'm talking about, wiggly. But so he's a wiggly Rocky Mountain, and he's a young horse, so he tries to play around and do things, and then he tries to get rest. So you're constantly being on his case to go forward, pay attention, stay straight. It's a lot to do. So the owner has her job cut out for her, but she can do it. So the poles are going to help, but you saw like just there he wouldn't turn, and I just kind of hit him with my left leg. So when horses are like this and they're used to kind of goofing around, you got to get on their case. You got to be like, hey, I mean business, and this is what we're doing today. And you only have to be grown up for an hour, because that's what I'm going to ride you for, is an hour. And then you can go back to your goofball self. But it's just like kids. They got to go in school and behave. So run them around, get their energy out, warm them up well, and then start your work and start building a work ethic. So this is his flat walk, which is very nice now. We're going to go to his saddle gait. Sometimes he will still step pace, especially when the footing's not very good in here. And so that makes it harder. And so he does it a fair amount. In the beginning, and then once he's warmed up, he gets very, very good and starts gaiting really well. So what we're going to do is take him over the poles when I go to saddle gait now, because the owners come a couple of times, and it's not just about the horse, it's about how she's riding him and what she can do. And so I got to make it so that they go home. They won't have me there. I can do the online lessons, but they want to have a plan. So she could even use less poles than this. I think I have about 8, but between 4 and 6 would probably be fine. So we're still not saddle gaiting because I'm talking, but what I'm doing is just getting them back used to going over the poles, and then I'm going to add some speed. The hardest part is getting the right speed. If he goes too fast, he paces. If he doesn't go fast enough, he stays at this flat walk. So I got to go fast enough. He changes his footfall, and if I can't get that in with the poles, then I'll get the speed outside the poles and come back into the poles. Okay, so here he's veering left again. Okay. And with him, the other thing I want to mention is he used to tense his back up a lot. So I have to get him to relax and drop his head down and kind of round out his back. So when he's dropping, I want to release and push my hands forward but down towards the bit so he can stretch down. The hard part is we're trying to do that to relax, but then I might have to pick him up if he's changing his speed. So again, the poles help to separate his legs. But we'll see, because we had to move the poles around so they're not perfect, how we do in here. So here we go. So I'm going to squeeze with both legs. I got a pole, so if he paces, that pole will help to separate his legs. Now that's not bad at all. Now there he got speedy, so I half halted. So with him, I'm going to try and tilt a little forward with my pelvis to stay a little bit off his back, to open up his back so he doesn't tense up. Now he's speeding up a little bit and the footing's not so good. So I'm going to start going outside the poles and see what happens. So there he's pretty good. He's speeding up, half halt release, left leg. Breathe. Good. Oh. Oh, no. That's okay. He got confused. He's speeding up, so I'm half halting, then I release. But in my brain, I'm picturing I want him to gait, and I want him going forward. Horses can read pictures, not words, but they can read your mind sometimes. So you're trying to get him to relax his back, put his feet down 4 times. There you saw me bounce, so you know he was either pacing or step pacing, and then release forward and down. Now again, if the footing was better like it was the other days, the poles would have been helpful, but you got to ride what you have to deal with today, and today it's bad footing. Okay? But if you can see, I'm not sitting on my seat bones. I'm always holding here. He gets a little pacey and tries to drift to that other end. But I'm more on my pelvis. Now, if he gets trotty, which he can at times, I'm going to sit back and pick his head up, because that's the opposite of the pace. And I got to hold him together, and once I do that a step or two, he's going to come right back out of that trot and go back to gaiting. So if your horse is trotty, that's the trick. But you got to have feel also. Now he slowed down, but that time he didn't drift so much, so that's okay. Then he sped up right there, so I'm half halting. And I'm going to shorten up a little bit so I don't have to move my arms as much and I can use my fingers a little more. Everybody arm's length is different, so you got to figure it out yourself, how short they have to be. So with him, and this is it with many gauge horses, you get the gait and then they speed up and go right past out of it because nobody's told them what to do. So you got to do it over and over again until they figure out, oh, she just wants me to stay that one speed, and that's what we had to do with his flat walk, okay? But now he's been flat walking for 3 months, and we had to get that better before I could really get that saddle gait. So the saddle gait's going to keep coming over the next months to years. She keeps up this practice, he's going to be a very nicely gaited horse, but you got to put the work and the time in, and then every winter, if you don't keep them working, you got to pick it back up in the spring. There he paced, so I just pushed him sideways. You might not have seen much, but all I did was hold and push him sideways. So all the things we taught him, the leg yield, the shoulder in, moving sideways off my leg, backing off when we pull on the reins, putting your head down when we put pressure. Now I'm putting it all together. So he understands. Many of these horses don't understand your cues. And so it doesn't work because nobody has taught him the cues. That's why I'm always saying, go back, restart him. Don't stop, boof. He's like, how about we stop here? So it's not time. Okay. So you saw when I put the reins in one hand, he got a little step pacey. Not bad. So you got to ride it with 2 hands first. You got to ride him with some semi-collection. Hold the correct speed. Feel the 4-beat footfall. If they're pacey, you can tilt a little forward, see if that works. But if it's a bucker or something, or a trippy horse, don't tilt forward because you don't want to fall off. And then once they're better, you can try tilting forward a little bit once they're not trippy or being goofy. Okay? Now it feels over here that he might start getting trotty there. The hard part for you newbies is you can't feel this stuff. We can because we've been doing it a long time. There, it's very nice. But that's the hard part. It's kind of like, you ever go dancing with somebody, like couples dancing, let's say swing dancing. So there's one person, they know how to dance really well, so they can lead you, they can swing you around, and they can make it look like you know how to dance. And then you're like, oh, I think I got this. That was fun. That was so fun. And then you go someone who doesn't know how to dance, and you're like, I think it goes like this. And you're like, now I can't remember. Which hand goes where? Then you ask your partner, and they're like, hell if I know. Let's just not dance because we don't know what we're doing. And that's what happens with your horse. When they're with the trainer knows how to help him, show him what to do. Then the trainer knows how to help you. and show you what to do. But when the trainer's gone, well, then you're left to your own, and it becomes very difficult. So it's best to get your horse trained, get some lessons, then continue to work with that trainer till you really get it, okay? Because each trainer is different, and it can be very confusing when you're hopping around between trainers. Remember, too many cooks, not a good thing. He stops there because that's where I gave him a break like 3 times today. So that shows you he has a very good memory. So I just half halt and set back because he got pacey. Now I'm tilting forward again. So I can sit back when he's getting pacey just to help me be stronger with my arms and get him out of it. But then I'm going to tilt forward again. And it's weird, right? Especially if you came from hunter jumper and dressage. We're like, who tilts forward unless we're jumping? Well, with the gaited horses, you're trying to free up their back so they can reach underneath themselves more. And you can do that by just tilting your pelvis just a little bit, getting your butt cheeks off of them, and just riding into your thigh a little bit more. Okay, so now we're almost at 5 minutes. So a little pacey, hold, push my right leg, now my left leg because I'm turning. Now he's good. Hold, release, nope. Oh, and then always get their head down when you stop. I stopped him with my breath and not my hands. But I want him to put his head down because I want him to understand every time we touch the reins, put your head down, because what he starts doing with the owner is he goes faster, she half halts, and then he throws his head up, because a lot of people taught the horses to gait like this. He throws his head up and just goes faster, but he goes into a pace. So we got to get him to drop his head, relax his back, stay the same speed for her. But this is very good from where he came from. If you watch his very first video on Flyboy's playlist, go to playlist and you can look it up. You'll see he couldn't even walk. He was step pacing, he was all bunched up, he was left and right, his head was going all over the place. It was crazy. So this is phenomenal, but it just has to be kept up, and that's the hard part. So again, I can lead him and I can lead the owner and show them what to do, but then I got to make it so they can practice on their own. So that's why I want her to practice the saddle gait with the poles, trying to stay the same speed. And it may be frustrating and very hard in the beginning. I know you're listening, but you're going to get there because this horse has talent. It just wasn't brought out the right way in the beginning. And so now it's got to be brought out. He has it. He knows what to do. Now it's just practice. And we all make mistakes. That's just part of the process. We're going to make mistakes. And thank God these horses are kind and willing, so they accept our mistakes. And they might do some bad stuff, but they could do a lot worse. Okay. 24. So 7. All right. So I'm going to start back with his flat walk. Always go back. When you take a rest, always go back down in speed. Get them warmed up for like 1 circle around, and then continue to go. So see, his flat walk is slow now. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. I thought we were done. I was like, far from it, buddy. Far from it. So I'm just letting my body move with his. I'm trying to hold him straight. He likes to wiggle around, so you got to be really good with your legs. And sometimes he gets dull, so spurs help this horse because it helps block him better, and then he can't ignore us. Okay? Every horse is different. The sensitive ones usually don't need spurs, but the dull are ones that are being goofy or playing around with you. You need something to make them pay attention more. So here we go. We're going to speed up, so both legs squeeze. And your brain, you want to think just a little faster, because if you think too fast, or like the speed of a trot, many of these horses will go to pacing, step pacing, or trotting. Now, not bad, so he's faster, and look, he's not taking off anymore, which is good, but certain parts of the arena, he gets unbalanced, and he does speed up, and this is one of the parts, if you watch the video, this is where he did it with the owner almost every time. So that usually means it's the footing or something behind us. Okay, so he started out a little step pacey, but now he's getting better. So I'm going to shorten up. These colored reins are great, but sometimes I think they're not perfect. And so sometimes you'll be holding in one spot on one and one spot on the other, and you're like, they feel even, and you look and you're like, well, are they? Well, I can tell you nothing's perfect, so most of the time they are pretty even, okay? But the color gives you a guide to know where you're holding your hand. So I'm holding them here with my right leg, Now, once I got through that turn, he stayed the same speed, then I'm going to release. So I wasn't releasing there because he was speeding up. So right here, I'm going to hold, push him over, release. So when he's speeding up, don't release. Hold, get them to figure out to slow down, and then you can release. And everybody's footing is different, but you're going to have places in your footing just like mine. Like right here, I'm going to hold, help him, my right leg's on him. I'm tilted just a little forward. I'm waiting, now I release. Okay, then he sped up, so I took him again, then I released. Okay, so don't let him speed up, but that takes time to feel that they actually are speeding up. That's why an instructor makes it go so much faster, because they see it. They're like, you're speeding up, what the heck are you doing? Pull back, and you're like, what? Oh, so hold here. We know he does it every time, right leg. Hold, halfway through, I'm going to release. Now there he stayed better. Now you'll see some of the time I'm opening my rein, I'm not pulling back because I'm trying to steer him because he gets wiggly, but I don't want to slow him down. So if I kind of pull back on the rein, that can slow him down some. So you kind of play around, see what works for you. But when they keep slowing down, I use a lot of open reins and just use my leg to hold their body to help them. Okay? So with this saddle gait, it should be 4 beats. Should be like the back left and then the front left. Okay? And with the ones that are pacey, you'll see that, and then you'll see they swing their legs almost a little bit together. You know, they're separated, but only a second or two, so depending on your eye, you might see that or you might not. But their gait's not going to look the same as a trotty horse, which is going to have more leg separation. But the good news is, I can tell you a lot of the pacey ones are a lot smoother than the trotty ones, sorry. But at least the ones that get sent to me are. Once they get their gait, I was like, oh, this is so smooth. Thank God for that pace that's in them. The ones that are trotty and can gait, but they never, ever pace when they're loose or under saddle, those can be a little bit choppier, unless you're going really fast. Like the speed brackers, they like that trot in them. And if you have a trotty horse and you go down the road really fast, it's usually very fun. It's just on the trail when you're footing steep. They don't gait as well, and it's better to do a foxtrot or a running walk to keep it. So he's doing quite well. I'm still just a little bit in my thigh. Like this is how I'd be riding when I was jumping. Might not look like as much because my stirrups aren't as short as when I jumped, but I'm just a little bit forward. Now the hard part is if you're trying to do this and you're not a balanced person, you can't do this yet. You got to get your seat, get your balance before you can start tilting your pelvis around. And you can watch my pelvis video, or it's called body position, and it shows you that. I have 2, one on a horse and one in a chair. Okay. Now the things I'm doing while he's going around, I'm half halting, which you might see or might not. I'm blocking him, and then I'm releasing him. So his main things when he goes home is just to practice this as many days in a row as she can. He's like, don't do that, don't do it. Let's just go home and eat and rest. But the more days in a row, the faster he's going to get there. If it's 1 day a week, it's going to take a year to get it. If it's 5 days a week, in 1 month, she might be good to go on her own. We'll have to see how they come along. And you got to spend the time in the arena and on the trail, because on the trail, he gaits perfectly now for me. But in here, because of the footing, and because he wasn't riding in the arena much before, he doesn't gait as well in here. I mean, he's gaiting well now, but that was his issue, so gaiting on the trail is usually easier for most of them. Let me check the time, Flyboy, since you apparently think it's time. And you got 2 minutes left, so you're cheating. Okay? So when you have a pacey one, you got to get his head down, but that's not the only answer. That's just part of it to help you. Once the head comes down, you got to get the neck and the back to relax, which is the hard part, because some of them stay curled up. They stay like this, which looks pretty. But when you got one that keeps falling into the pace, you got to let them stretch out more. And then you got to be careful, especially if it's a walking horse, that they don't get their head down too far and get too heavy on their front end, because they have such a big chest compared to many of the other horses, and they have the bigger stride. So they can get heavy on their forehand, and then those horses can get trippy. So you got to find the very spot where they're good, they're not trippy, they're light, and they're not pulling on you. So now he's gotten a little bit over there. He was a little bouncy. So you'll see I get the gait, and then he might step pace a step or two. Then I get the gait again. It goes back and forth. Like right there, he got pacey. That's normal. That's just part of the process. It's not going to be perfect. When you have a horse that has all sorts of issues, it's just not going to go one day to gaiting. It takes many, many weeks, many, many months, many, many years. And when you get it and all your friends are jealous, you just go, it was so easy. It only took me 5 years. But I'm not going to tell you guys that. Good luck on your journey. So, see there? So anytime he drifts, gets a little off balance, that's when he starts going more towards the pace again. So do I want to speed this horse up anymore? No, just like the flat walk, I started slow. So with this saddle gait, we start slow, get it slow. Once he can do it slow, then we can do it faster in time. But that takes many weeks, okay? And by taking him out on trail, and if she's flat walking him the whole time and she's saddle gaiting him, he's going to get stronger and stronger, because the hills do a lot for them. But it's not just walking and walking over rocks and stuff. You have to pick places to ride where you can gait. And you got to do that at least 3 days a week if you want to build up your horse's gait and make him better. That might mean you, go on a trail ride and you come home and ride in the arena, or you come home and ride on the road, or you take a trail where there's a road or something so you can practice if there's lots of rocks and nowhere else to go. Okay, now the other thing, when we stop them, of course, we want them to be gaiting well. So you might go to stop, and then all of a sudden the horse paces, and you're like, oh, and you stop. Don't stop. You can stop back up, like you see me do in the videos, but don't stop till he's gaiting well. Let him put in his best effort, and then when he does that, he'll understand, well, when I did that, she stopped last time, so maybe I'll do that sooner and see what happens. Almost. Oh, I said almost. See, he's like, oh, I thought I knew what that word meant. So he was good. If he could just keep that relaxation without speeding up, he would be golden. But at this point, he doesn't. He gets relaxed, gets his head down, and then he just starts running like he's running down a hill, like when we were kids and we just let ourselves go and you just ran. Whoa, there he was great. You hear that? I said you were great. So, very nice horse. Just needs a little bit more to get his gaits in there, and then it's practice, practice, practice. And it's, practicing it everywhere. Practicing around the barn, practicing on the trail, because each terrain is different. And so your horse might gait really well in the arena, but he doesn't gait well on the gravel. You got to get it first, get the feel, know how to get it, and then practice in different spots. So now I'm taking him out on the gravel because he didn't have shoes on in the back before and he was very ouchy, but now it's much better. So now his gait's getting better out there because now he realizes it doesn't hurt so much, so he doesn't have to tense up, and he's starting to really walk out. On the trail, it's nice and soft and sandy, so guess what? He gaits really well out there. Gaits up the trail, goes down the trail, all very good. Occasionally we'll hit a pace, but not very much at all. But I'm very conscious on what he's doing underneath me, and I don't let him pace anymore, okay? I correct it, and then I only stop and reward him when he's doing the right thing. I only let go of the reins when he puts his head down, and you have to be really consistent on all these things, because if you slack anywhere, like if she goes home and then every time she stops, she never makes him put his head down anymore, he will start gaiting and picking his head back up because he goes, well, sometimes I have to put my head down, sometimes I don't, so I'm not doing it anymore. And that's what they do, and as the training slowly comes off. So you got to make them do it, keep their head down, Show them how to relax their neck and back. Reward them for trying. And then don't exhaust them, okay? That's not the point either, because if they get exhausted, they'll get pacey or trotty. Work them till you get that gait well, time it, build it up over time, and you're going to have a really nice gaited horse. But you got to put the time on. There's no miracles. There's just magic when you do it right. Remember to like and subscribe.